talking about observations about, so you could be following somebody. It's like there's something called as job shadowing. So you actually see somebody doing something. So if you want to understand the process of gem cutting, for instance, you need to see how a person is actually doing the gem cutting. What are the kind of things? What are the stages that they go through? Similarly, if you want to work on a healthcare application which supports the, for example, the life vital statistics, which actually gives you the vital statistics of the patient on the real time. If you're working on this application, you should actually try and go to a hospital, an operation theater, for instance, or even an operating theater real time and see what are different instrumentation that are available there, the ECG, then you've got different other applications, you've got the pump, you've got all of these different things that are in use at that point of time, and how the doctors, the surgeons are actually trying to use these different application systems and instruments and using their own knowledge and then being able to take decision, oh, this, now the blood is fusing too much, so let's try and use this, blah, blah, blah. So they do all kinds of those things. So we as analysts, we may not know, we may not be experts in understanding a patient, for example, physiology or the anatomy of the body of a patient, all the different things and how that system would actually work. What is an ECG? We may not know, but we should have initial document analysis to give us some idea so that we don't look foolish, we don't ask stupid questions in the theater if you're not allowed. And then you just observe how the operation is being performed. So it could be through the closed doors and you have a camera or you actually view the video, because obviously these are all high sensitive things, high risk, high sensitive projects and work. So obviously you should not go and ask them question, doctor, can you just hold? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that pumping of the blood? You can't just stop him and ask the question or 10 questions, right? So you should, these are some of the things where you need to take the things, but it could be a direct observation of a task as and when it's being done, or it could be kind of indirect observation. Once it is all done, he or she would share a video and you'll be able to see the video, then follow it up with questions. So it's really important. It gives you what we call as context sensitive information, very, very context rich information about what are the different things, how would be the environment, all the things, the light, the sound, it's crystal clear, nothing is happening, there's no disturbance, or there's no noise in the operation theater, as opposed, for example, you're developing an application which would support the drivers of, for example, Amazon or DHL parcel drivers. These are people who have got to drive in noise environments. They've got to stop it, and then they need to check the manifest. They need to look at this application, look at the next thing, and then they've got gloves on. If it is too cold outside, they've got gloves on with those thick things that they should be able to operate. It's a completely different context when you're developing an application to support the field teams who are out and about, vis-a-vis when you're trying to develop an application for the doctors, which will help perform their operations better, or the surgeries better, or which would, it's a completely different context. So you as a BA should understand what is the context and what kind of data you would need to perform the role better. And accordingly, you need to decide which one is better. So again, it's not that one size fits all. It's not that I'm recommending observation or every technique to be suitable for every project or product development initiative. You need to pick and choose whatever is best suitable. It helps you identify the problems, the breakdowns, the workarounds. It helps you get that kind of rich context. And then with that information, you should be able to actually kind of identify what would be the areas where they break down. What are the workaround? What are the things that they can use alternatively? People, for example, people who work in call center, this is what I think, it's a live example, live case study. This call center application was actually tried to understand and how cases could actually be forwarded and shared amongst the other team members. So they found that people, the call center employees, because they work in shifts, so you've got a morning shift and an evening shift. So you as a customer called up this call center, the customer care number line, to report about your broken television. And then the call center employee would actually take your call, and then they write this information down. And previously, when this sophisticated software applications were not there around, the call center employees were actually using, they noticed that they were using post-it pads, post-it notes on there. So if you see the whole of the TV, the whole of the monitor, as well as the other, the desk on this particular person's workstation is all filled with post-it pads of, okay, customer XYZ called, they've got this, made 3 calls, TV broken down, monitor is not responding, blah, blah, blah. And then talk to Eric about this note. So that is a note for the next person who comes with a shift so that they can pick it up. This is when you don't have the ability, when you didn't have at that point of time, I'm talking about 15 years ago, when the software applications did not support the reporting and taking of the notes as to, that's a simple thing. I mean, if you really think about it, it's a simple feature to add to your application, especially if it's call center, because you've got the shifts. People need to continue that whole thing. So if somebody else calls in, you can't expect the whole thing to, the person to actually narrate the whole thing. Even now, I think some of you might face that. I had the same problem calling for insurance, about an insurance application to be for the home insurance. It just goes on and on. I had to make like 50 calls even now, in spite of all the application, all the technology and the improvements in the business processes. But yeah, just imagine that they have actually, this particular company, it's almost like IDEO. So it went about, and then we did some kind of similar surveys around this. We did observations, went to the call center, looked at people with the monitors filled up with all these posters, observed what they're trying to do. So that's how we found that people would like to continue, share what the update they would like to give to the next person so that they can pick it up without asking 100 questions to the customer again. So that's where we have just introduced a small feature called note taking. It's just a text area. All it took is a text area where they can enter free text, and then that would be helpful to, it's like a chronological order. So the person next would actually understand what's the kind of work that is already done, or what's the kind of comments, anything to do with the customer case, specific case. So again, it would not have come through without observation, without the actual way of looking at how the workplace is, what's the workflow involved, and how people are using it.